Good morning, everyone. This is Sri here. Welcome to the webinar. Today's topic is overview of recent changes in IMDS and advanced options. So before that, some housekeeping. Everybody is on mute except the speakers. This meeting is being recorded and will be shared after this session. And there will be a survey at the end of the webinar. We request you to fill it. In case of any questions that you have please feel free to use the comment section of the webinar. And at the end of the webinar, if we have time, we will take to the questions. Otherwise, we will follow up with you separately over the email. The speakers today is me, and the organizer is also me. Unfortunately, my organizer has a bad throat, so I have to take up the dual role today. I'm Sri Vinakota. I had the compliance team at APA, coming up with around 20 years of experience in regulatory compliance practice. So before that, a small overview about APA. APA is a 21 years old company. We are a global company. We are ISO 9001 certified, and for the information security practices, we are 27001 certified, and we also have TISAX stamp, which means that is required especially for the when you are working with the German automakers. It's a stringent information security practice. So we have a number of customers across the globe. As a company, we have 4 business units. One is compliance, which I had the division, and engineering. We help customers on product development and using several CAD/CAM CAE softwares. Sourcing, we source the components from best cost countries, also ship the components to your location. And the software, we have a few software that are on our APA brand, and we also do the custom software development. When it comes to product compliance, we have 3 different business models, I would say. One is compliance software. APA has developed a good compliance software through its in-house IT expertise, where customer can purchase the software services. We help customers on all types of compliance services. Turnkey is fundamentally an extension to your compliance team, which will take care of all the compliance activities pertaining to your products, cutting across all the geographies where your products are being marketed. Time for a quick poll. So the agenda of the webinar agenda is IMDS Introduction. We shall give you an overview of IMDS and its advanced options that were added recently. And we will also cover what cannot be done in IMDS due to the current limitations, and how APA software can help mitigating them, and roadmap of IMDS in the future, followed by a recap. To start with, so IMDS is a de facto standard of on-road automotive industry. It's a 22-year-old software with 13 major releases that have happened over the last 22 years. It's as you know, it's a web-based database that was developed by DXE, and formerly it was called as HP. And it is solely developed to manage the ELV directive, but later it was used for multiple purposes like REACH and POPs and biocides and many other regulations, now to the SKIP regulation also. Overall, if you look at the IMDS in the last 22 years of journey, it has got 50 plus OEMs which are participating, and they are the fund managers. And similarly, we have 630,000 registered IMDS users and 119,000 registered companies, and 93 million metal data sheets were created by several companies, and 150,000 active users are there, with the as much as 3,000 concurrent users, and 850 million nodes or components which were created, and with the 2.5 billion references. So we got these details from CLEPA 2022 from the DXE presentation. So we shall look at the some advanced IMDS options. The first one is one of the biggest improvement in IMDS is the where used analysis. So recently IMDS has added a PFOs analysis. PFO stands for perfluorooctane compounds. So fundamentally PFOs is also called as C8. It's a man-made chemical. It is used in the process of making Teflon, which is a domestically used in kitchen appliances, or for making food or toasting the food for several years. And similar chemicals are also used, and C8 in its salts or esters fall under PFOS group. So studies have found that it is present worldwide at a very low levels in just about everyone's blood. And people exposed to PFOs in workplace can have higher levels at many levels. On May in the year May, on May 2019, more than 180 countries have agreed to ban the production and use of PFOs and its salts under the Stockholm Convention, which comes under POPs regulation. So especially the EU, which is a key player in the UN Stockholm Convention, agreed to a complete ban on the chemical effective from 4th June 2020. So in this regard, as it is banned from 4th June 2020, a lot of requests have come from customers to identify whether their products have got a PFOs or not. So initially, these categories you see in the red square, these categories were not at all present. Later, after 2 years, DXE has added them. Thanks to DXE for that. So now we can they are grouped into several compounds with respect to their several gas numbers. So we can analyze with respect to different compounds for their presence. So another recent improvement is DXE is allowing, or IMDS is allowing multiple system to system keys for the given organization unit. So as you know that every legal entity in the European Union is required to submit a separate skip dossier. At least before this option, every time the user has to change the system to system key or update the system to system key manually in order to submit the skip dossier. Thanks to the new option where it is allowing us to add multiple system to system keys in the form of a text file and upload it. So this is one more good option which normally any IMDS validator or a user can probably prone to make mistakes. Adding and warning if showing and popping up in a warning if other application potentially prohibited is used in any one of the IMDS data sheets. So some of the other customers would have rejected your IMDS data sheets because of this. So thanks to release 13.2, wherein they have added it is as a warning in case if this particular application is present in your product in IMDS, a warning will pop up before you actually push the send button or propose button. So this acts as a foolproofing to avoid this mistake, or at least knowingly you can send it if in case it is potentially prohibited. The next one is multi-sourcing. So this is a classic example. Every bill of material or every part will have a multi-sourcing. Normally mitigate the risks. So we previously we have only one option to add. We have the option to add only one supplier at a time, one particular part number at a time. So from the release 13.2 or 13.1 onwards, we can add multiple supplier part numbers if you feel both all are same or similar. For the multi-sourcing, you can add it as an alternative reference. So there is a small procedure for it. First you have to create you cannot add it directly. First you have to create a node and then attach the reference. So you can see the node here, alternative reference, and then you can attach all the relevant MDS from different suppliers. It can be from different suppliers. It may not be the same part number. Sometimes it can be of different part numbers. They even then it will accept, and it can be a mix of in-house and supplier MDS too. The other one is, whenever you submit any MDS before you actually push the button, the send button, you get errors and warnings, and you may wonder how these are appearing. Of course, there is some logic, that the steering committee has given it. How when to appear, when to show a trigger a warning, or when to trigger a error. But for sake of use, we have consolidated, or it's not that we have consolidated. This is available online. We are distributing this as a part of the webinar. So here you can see all the errors and warnings in a single spreadsheet, and what are the logics that are written. For example, the meaning, if you have forgotten to give a weight to an attached material semi component, then what is the message that it has to show, what is the type, it is error. So similarly, so there are warnings and errors. There are multiple of them, and all those are displayed here. You can review it at your own ease. This I felt is really useful, consolidated in a single spreadsheet. There are some other good options too, which were recently added, and you may have experienced a rejection case if forward option is not enabled. So because there are certain bought out parts which are directly purchased from supplier and shipped to the customer. So it is nothing but you get the MDS from your supplier and you forward it to your customer without making any changes. That is possible, but due to some confidentiality issues, some suppliers were not enabling this forward option, and the by default forward option is enabled, but some suppliers have removed that. So knowingly or unknowingly are disabling it. So now onwards, if a warning would pop up if forward option is not enabled, because some customers require this forward option to be enabled, then only they can forward it to their customer. So this is really useful. And another one is, it might be a surprise to you guys, but this is something they have implemented, different node types on the same level. If you previously it was popping up as an error, but now it goes as a warning. So the reason behind is, if you have different node types on the same level, in case if you have already a component, want to add a semi component, IMDS supports you in adding a component node first, not to have the structure mix on the same level. Concerning the skip and reach, this behavior has become problematic, and as IMDS components are articles according to the skip. So in case of surface treatment, etc., you may need this case where semi-component and component have to be mixed at the same level. So it became a warning now. And there are other options, like in case of recyclate range is greater than 20%, it will show as a warning, especially when you have not answered. I mean, when you have ranges beyond the 20%. Similarly, there are multiple search options in the where used. You can see the where used analysis. There are drop downs, classification, MDS, basic substance list. All these are all a pretty old one, but the recently added is contained recyclate. That is something, and you can search for whether your part material has the recyclate or not. Yes, no, not answered. With a particular classification also, you will be able to search it. And similarly, multi-search options for where user analysis. If you filter for basic substance list, there are a lot of other basic substance lists apart from PFOs are coming up. California Prop 65 and critical raw materials are added. And similarly, if you filter for, instead of basic substance list, if you filter for basic substance group, then you will have other substance groups that are added. And some of the new one are especially fillers and reinforcing materials, or ions, or rare earth metals. So these are a few new categories that are added. All these are all good. So IMDS has done an excellent job of providing a lot of options, advanced options, but still we want more, because these are all not sufficient to handle certain problems, or which takes more time, or which can be uh, which is not an efficient way of doing it. So let's discuss what cannot be done in IMDS um, in an efficient manner. The first one is, for example, this is the classic case. You get the bill of material from your requester, and then you will have to do you have to find out the unreported parts from the assigned suppliers in the bill of material, and make a report. So that means you got the BOM, and you have to identify what are the unreported MDS, and give an up-to-date list to your manager or whatever. You need to maintain the statistics, so you can do it, but again it is a time-consuming task, because you will have to do VLOOKUP against two different parameters, not only the part number but also with respect to the supplier details. So Excel alone may not be sufficient. You need to have some programming. Similarly, if you wanted to build the tree structure that has multiple child parts, say over 30 parts, if it is a small tree structure, yes, it makes sense. You can use the regular option. If it has a larger tree structure, definitely it is time consuming. And say, for example, when you have seating or powertrain or chassis assembly, etc., or interior IP, etc., then you have a lot of time consuming activities, and you may end up in adding a wrong quantity, or choosing MDS from different suppliers, wrong mass, that will lead to weight deviation at the end. Or it is not intentionally you would be adding, it may be a typographical error. So similarly, you have several variants in automotive industry has so many variants, different color wiring harnesses. All that it makes a difference is only few part numbers, or few supplier parts. So again, you will have to take a copy of it, and add, remove certain parts. So all that differently is possible, but again, it might end up in some mistakes. So these options, the current options alone are not sufficient to handle the previous cases. That's the reason, the service provider or solution providers like APA have some solutions, especially two modules that we have is one is MDS Xpress and another one is One IMDS. It's an analytical tool. So let's talk about MDS Xpress quickly. So MDS Xpress, it's an 75% automation tool. Typically, when you take any MDS, IMDS process, there are 4 steps. One is bill of material analysis, that is to identify what is missing, what MDS is missing, and then you communicate to the supplier, and then uh, after communicating, you do the accept reject, and then you do the IMDS structure preparation. So we have automated 1 to 4 steps through MDS Express software. MDS Express software works in junction with A2 IMDS A2 license. We use the IMDS A2 import feature to build the MDS assembly. So I will show a quick demo of the software for the sake of ease. We have recorded the demonstration and we're playing it. So before that, the process in MDS Express is very simple. You just have to upload the bill of material, and software will MDS Express will find out the missing MDS and give you a. You will be able to send an email to your supplier through MDS Express itself. You can validate we can accept reject in A2 or mdsystem.com, and at the end, MDS Express can build the entire tree structure using A2 license. So it's a simple procedure. We have implemented with several customers on this, and we saved tons of time. Let me small demonstration of the software. This is the a small video that is recorded using our MDS Express software. It uses 2 password authentication. The first step is uploading the bill of material. Say we are uploading the bill of material, so we enter some request ID, request name, and what is the due date of the due date, and what is the program name, and who is the customer that we are going to submit to them, the requester email, and you can choose the bill of material. The bill of material needs to be in a certain format. Nevertheless, it requires only certain mandatory details like part name, part number, supplier name, and the quantity, which anyways you get it from your ERP. So you have those details. Once you have those details are uploaded, the BOM gets uploaded successfully. So now I uploaded a bill of material that has got 15 part number, 15 child parts, and those are you see all are 00%, because we need to upload the inbox file, because system has to compare the compare the BOM with the inbox data, and then it will give you how much data is present and how much data is missing. So we just have to upload the inbox data from our IMDS A2 software, A2 license. So only one-time activity that needs to be done every day, only one time in a day. It is not an advanced interface. Advanced interface uses additional license cost. Here it uses A2 license. So now I uploaded the inbox. Now 15 parts are there, all are 00. I just do a quick refresh. So the 00 becomes now you can see total accepted are 14, unreported are 1 now. there are one unreported. There is one unreported part. So that one unreported part, I click on the pending part list. Then I will see that it is coming from a supplier, Takata, and I can send an email to them directly from here itself, and periodic reminders would also be sent automatically till the MDS is submitted. You don't need to intervene for the periodic reminders. Once you hit on the send email, mail would be sent to the supplier. And in case if you find same part from an alternative supplier, you can change it from to an alternative supplier so that the one unreported becomes reported. That's what we are going to do. The unreported part number, which is unreported, which I'm going to change it from Takata to some other supplier, so that since I have the multi-sourcing, I changed it, and that is an accepted MDS. So I use the multi-sourcing option to change it, and then I'll it becomes 100% reported. And once it becomes 100% reported, you can click on the a small script, the CSV file. That is the output from our software, which is an input to the A2 license. Now you see that CSV file, we're going to give it as an input, which will create the tree structure automatically. So fundamentally, our software provides a BOM analysis and supplier communications, and it will also provide an script that is an input to A2 license that can create the tree structure automatically. Even 300 component tree structure will not take more than 2-3 minutes of time. So let it create. It is just here now. You see, this is created. This is the MDS that is created. So, and there are also a lot of dashboard options which can be used for further details. So it saves. It has very good features, especially unreported finding and automatic tree creation and the dashboards, and you can also send the mail communication. Definitely, it improves the. There is no scope for manual error, and it saves tons of time and the fastest submission. Definitely. Again, this MDS Express for creating the software, creating the tree structure is not sufficient, because you also have a lot of other use cases, like what if we have the use case of a complex IMDS analysis. So even though where used analysis in IMDS is providing a lot of options, but it is a cumbersome activity if we have to do a complex analysis. Let's see some of the typical use cases that we work on maybe daily basis, or as an ad hoc request, and which will be very difficult to perform using the mdsystem.com. So recently we got a request from our customer that hey IMDS, find out the mass of aluminum that is used in set of parts that are supplied to a customer BMW. Okay, so the supply our customer wanted to find out aluminum mass, because the prices are increasing. Aluminum mass used in the set of end items that are supplied to a customer. If you were to do this activity, you have to go to MD system and open the part, do the analysis, and then you have to copy one by one and do it as a spreadsheet. So it is a very tedious exercise. Similarly, apart from 3TG, you also have mica and cobalt. Your customers are asking for uh, CMRT, similarly EMRT. So, hey IMDS, find out a list of end items. Take that, assume that request has come from Toyota. Toyota is asking whether asking them to submit, asking a supplier to submit the MICA conflict minerals report. So then the supplier has to search for the MICA in IMDS greater than 0.1 percentage and their respective suppliers which are associated. And what is the percentage which is present in it? And I want the part numbers and the supplier names. So it is not an straightforward exercise. You'll have to do a lot of iterations to get this to the point. Similarly, Ford, Nissan, or Honda has got different cast number list that are restricted. So if you wanted to find out list of cast numbers that are restricted by an OEM, and and their supplier names and the percentage of cast numbers, you need it. So again, it is not at all a straight task. You can search for a group which is present in a that is already given by that is pre-populated in the where used analysis, but you cannot give any custom list. And you, even though you can give the custom list in A2 license, you cannot get the supplier names and percentage of the CAS directly. And similarly, I wanted to find out top 2 material classifications in the set of 1,000 parts that I'm going to give as an input. And I wanted to find out which of the part numbers have got NX14 sunset date and end items, and where are those supplier parts which are present in the respective end items and with the supplier names. So when you include supplier name as a parameter in the analysis, it becomes a very cumbersome activity and it takes much of time. Similarly, there is another use case. I wanted to find out the expired application code, so MDS, with the respect to supplier names. Again, when you wanted to include the supplier names, it becomes a complex case. So that's where we have developed this One MDS module. This One MDS module is again a SaaS model. Uh, so the input to One MDS is the inbox and outbox data, and that data would be stored in our software, and from there you can take any type of analytics that whatever you need. Before that, there are multiple companies which maintain plant level IMDS data. So that means if you take as a company, you have multiple plants and every plant has got its own IMDS code. And if you wanted to perform this analysis at a central location, it is not possible because you have to do it in, for example, there are 6 different plants that you have it. The same analysis, if you wanted to perform, you have to perform in 6 different plants and combine the data and then make a decision. So here in One MDS, no problem. You just upload inbox and outbox details, and then you can do any type of analysis from different plans combined also. Let me show you a small sample report of output that we get it from One MDS. So we gave a task of finding tin percentage. Hey, One MDS, please find tin or 3TG that is greater than 0.1 percentage, and give me the list of assemblies and the suppliers associated. So when I gave this as a statement, I'm repeating the statement once again. My problem statement is I wanted to find out 3TG in the assemblies that I submit to a customer what are the suppliers which are associated. So in this case, I'm sending this IMDS part to this particular customer, and it is going, it is going to SIAC. This MDS part number is going to SIAC, and in this SIAC, these are all the 4 different supplier components that are coming from these 3 different suppliers that have tin in them, and this is the percentage. So you get all these details in a click of button, in a click of button. So manually, if you wanted to do it, you will have to do multiple iterations to get it. So similarly, you can get different types of reports through One MDS. So practically, there is no limitation on the report criteria. So similarly, it's a SaaS model, and multiple parameters can be given, and it can combine multiple IMDS companies and plans. So you can generate the complex reports, and it helps in conflict handle scoping and acts as a centralized repository for multiple plans. So a roadmap of IMDS, coming to the roadmap of IMDS, I don't know how many of you have attended the CLEPA 2022. Their DXE and the steering committee were talking about the roadmap. A lot of things they have spoken, and IMDS is a de facto standard, and they are trying to include a lot many features in the near future. Especially because of uh, European Digital Passport Program or circular economy. So European Digital Passport Program is something that is a new buzzword. Uh, Whenever a part is going to recycling, the recycler can scan the particular part, and thereby the recycler will be able to see what is the composition of that particular part number and where it is originated, who is the supplier of it, etc. So whether it has got any hazardous substances or not. So all those details can be made visible as a part of the digital product passport, which is called DPP. That is the buzzing word, and it is being discussed by the European Union. And a lot of other initiatives like life cycle assessment and carbon footprinting, the CSR activities, conflict minerals reporting, the human trafficking, the force majeure, import export compliance, and a lot of OEM strategies and weight targets. There are certain things that are kept in mind by the steering committee, and they're going to implement in phases, and they have the clear deadlines. So what is going to be coming in uh, release. Now it is release 13.2. What is going to be coming in 14 or 15 till 16? They have a clear plan what needs to be done. And again, time for a quick poll. Uh, Thank you. So as a recap, so these IMDS advanced options are really useful. Whatever they have provided recently, I'm sure there will be a few more options that will be added based on the customer voice. And especially my favorite is the skip with the multiple system to system key option. That saves tons of time. Whoever is dealing with the uh, you know multiple clients. And as stated, these options are not sufficient in order to manage the entire program efficiently. So APA has the IMDS creation software that is MDS Xpress, that helps you save 70 percentage of minimum of 70 percentage compliance cost, and it's very easy to implement it. It takes less than a week to implement it. It is since because it is an online software and doesn't need any. It operates on its own, and all that you need is if you have an IMDS A2 license, you will save a lot. And similarly, data analytics software that is One MDS saves a lot of time and money, which we are practically using it for several customers. Well, they have not purchased the software, but at least they have given the task where we are in a position to upload the details and get the report generated. So that will save a lot of time. So manually, without this, if you are able to, if the job takes 30 days, and with the software it takes less than 2 to 3 days. Now, the last but not least, automotive industry is fortunate to have the IMDS database than the other industries, as they are really facing the pinch of heat. Because it is very structured and you have all the composition. Whenever reach SVH series changes, you need not go back to the supply chain and ask for new compliance declaration, etc. And it is the automotive supply chain's responsibility to use it diligently and keep your data updated all the time. That will save a lot of manual efforts. Before we wrap up, we also have other software uh, and IMDS, which I spoke already, and Green Check to handle non-automotive related. And we also have software to handle volatile organic chemical compliance. We have a question and answer session. We are on dot. I, I could not take any questions, but please feel free to write an email to Sriram at apiengineering.com or compliance at apiengineering.com. So we would be happy to take up your questions, and the presentation will be shared in a couple of days along with the video for all the registrants. Thank you for your participation, and I wish you have at least you got some new information. Thank you once again, and have a great day. Bye bye.